Hi, friends. Good morning. If you haven't already met, my name is Rochelle, and welcome to Be Brave. So often in this space, I say it's like we're a bunch of kids on the playground, and we have an opportunity to play with different ideas and concepts and all of these things. And today is going to be a little bit of a different practice. And I was thinking about, like, what does it look like when somebody within our community, somebody within our friend group, whatever, is suffering, right? Like, what does it look like to show up for them in space? And, there's a lot happening in the world in a variety of different communities. So I don't want to specify or center a specific suffering, but I do want us to hold in our hearts that many people today are suffering for many different reasons. And what I'm going to ask of you before we get started, aside from needing props and things, is to bring something into this space. So oftentimes I say it's a toy, right? But an offering that we all can kind of create, like a beauty or a container for us to process whatever's happening within us, around us. And, it doesn't have to be like socially drawn. So this morning, what I brought to this space was a bouquet of flowers. So I invite you to take a moment to go into your space, wherever you're at, and find something that's really special to you and bring it into this space as an offering for our practice. And I'll just give everybody like a minute or so to do that, and then we'll come back. Thank you all for doing that. We're going to start our practice today in a small meditative set. And maybe you've never done meditation before, and that's okay. You can actually just lie down on your back and listen. I think meditation is actually one of the bravest practices that we can do to go deep into understanding where our suffering lives in our bodies, right? And I don't have the words today. I have to say I'm at the brink of tears in every moment. So I pulled this book that I've been reading from because it's inspiring me a lot. It's called No Mud, No Lotus. And it's this idea that in order to understand or be able to grow joy in our life, we have to become really intimate with the dirty stuff, with the messy stuff, with the hurtful stuff. So what is suffering? What suffering is made of? There is a suffering of the body, including the sensations of pain, illness, hunger, and physical injury. Some of this suffering is simply unavoidable. Then there is the suffering of the mind, including anxiety, jealousy, despair, fear, and anger. We have the seeds, the potential in us for understanding love, compassion, and insight, as well as the seeds of anger, hate, and greed. While we can't avoid all the suffering in life, we can suffer much less by not watering the seeds of suffering inside us. Are you at war with your body? Do you neglect or punish your body? Have you truly gotten to know your body? Can you feel at home with your body? Suffering can be either physical, mental, or both. But every kind of suffering manifests somewhere within this body, and it creates tension or stress. We are told that we should release the tension in our body. Many of us try very hard. We want to release the tension in our body, but we can't. Our attempts at reducing tension in us won't work unless we first acknowledge that it's there. So I'm going to leave us there. And I invite you to either close or lower your eyes. You can be seated, you can be lying down, wherever you're the most comfortable. And I just want us to bring our attention inward and notice right now where we might be holding tension in our body. Okay, maybe it's in the jaw. Maybe it's in the shoulders. Maybe it's in your belly. Are you holding your belly? What about your hands? And your feet? Can you take a moment here and really just allow yourself to land or soften into this moment, into this breath? So as you breathe in, noticing, I am breathing in. And as you breathe out, noticing, I am breathing out. Especially on the exhale breaths, we have an opportunity to release a layer of tension. So I invite you here just for 10 breaths, and I'll keep time for us. You don't have to count. You just focus on that exhale breath, that letting go breath. Thoughts might come in to interrupt. And you gently just bring yourself back home to your body, back home to your breath. Only if you're comfortable. you're ready, you'll bring your hands in towards the center of your chest and bringing your chin down, just about to yourself. We can consider going beyond that. Like we could hold our own suffering in between our hands, but also the suffering that we all carry as humans. Can we take a moment and also hold in our hands suffering of those who are experiencing and continue to experience the negative effects of injustice? Right? All around the world, right? Not just here, but all around the world. And we notice how that feels. Right? We notice, if it's tender, if it's sore. Can we bring an awareness towards our practice of just loving kindness for the parts of us that are tender and sore? Let's take one breath here together. Let's breathe in. Breathe out. Let's do just one more. In. And we'll come onto our mats if we're not already there. We'll come into a child's pose. Big toes together and knees wide. We'll bring our arms out in front of us. And in this child's pose, we'll actually keep the spine lifted. So we'll keep the seat down towards the feet. And we'll try to get the shoulders back so that we feel a sense that there's an openness in the chest. We're going to start to draw the chin in towards the chest. You might look down towards your feet or your belly button. And then you'll reach your eyes, your chin up towards the ceiling. Extending the front. Draw that chin in towards your chest. And then move up towards the sky. We'll do two more like that, going down. Like that. One more down. And this time, as we draw the chin down towards the chest, I'm going to move it more into my spine. So I'm going to start to roll my shoulder blades up. I'm going to start to roll or round through my mid-low back. And then my tailbone is going to start to reach towards my heels. So I come into full spinal flexion. And then please look up with your eyes. Press forward with your chin. Peeling the chest forward, rolling back with the shoulders, dropping the rib cage, and then the tailbone lifts up. Right, so we're segmenting the spine. We go chin in towards chest, right, and then the shoulders, and then the mid-low back, and then the tail. So we get really, really clear about where the motion is coming from. We go eyes first, chin next, shoulders or chest, ribs, mid-back, and tail. Do a few more like this on your own. And as you go through, can you become so conscious of where tension is actually living in your spine? Sometimes I'm here, right? My back hurts. And as we do this inquiry, can we get a little bit more clear about where that might actually be? Is it hurt? Is it pain? Maybe it's just a little bit of stiffness. Might need a few more cycles here in this spine segmentation, and there's no rush to move on. But when you are ready, you'll roll yourself up to tabletop. And you'll just reach your right leg back and behind you and give it a little shake. So that shake might start off a little bit slow, but you can play with speed and frequency. And if you need a really big shake or maybe a stronger shake, please go for it. Then we'll switch, left leg. When you feel complete, you'll bring your knee back down to the floor and we'll come into tabletop position. And then we'll move the entire spine in cat-cow. So reaching the eyes up, tailbone up. So everything in the spine is moving at once. Right? You can rock your hips back a little bit on the in or the up breath rather. And then exhaling, rounding forward. You might rock your weight a little bit over your wrists. You find that flexion, looking up, tailbone up. Okay, and then again, rounding it. So play with speed here. As yogis, we often move at this one speed, but you might need to move a little faster today. And that's okay. We allow this movement, this work to meet us where we're at. And then we'll come back to tabletop. We'll start to circle the head around and circle the hips around. And as we move into this motion, you can also free up the shoulders and get this a part of the articulation. You can bring your hips towards your heels. There's no real right or wrong with this one. What I invite you to do is feel this movement from the inside. And go to the places that are asking for your attention. This is the way we start to get intimate or build a relationship with our bodies. We listen and we go. We go to where we're called. You were going in one direction, switching the directions. Breathe. Two. We'll slow that down. Slow that down. Just coming to tabletop. We'll step the right foot forward. If the right foot or the right knee rather is going to be on top of the ankle. And if you need to bring it a little bit wider out to the side so you have a firmer base, go for it. And then I'm going to come to stand on this knee. Right, so if I'm to look at the legs, I'm actually at 90-90. If I need some support for the left knee, I add a cushion or a blanket. I'm going to try here to keep my body pretty forward facing, and then I'll reach my left arm up overhead. Give me a second, let me just take the sweater off. So as I reach this arm up overhead, right, I'm going to start to circle it back and behind me. I often actually bring my right hand to my rib cage just to keep me true, right? And then I'm going to start to bring that arm back and behind me. It's going to reach this point where it's like, wait, stop, and then you're going to have to turn through the shoulder, right? Which you'll recognize it also happens in the hand. Right? We get into external rotation. Okay? And then we're going to reach this other block, right? It's going to be somewhere behind us, and we're going to have to turn through the shoulder again. And then the hand will come down beside the hip. And we'll go again around. So we try to get so clear on what movement here is happening in the shoulder, right? Where we get blocked or stuck. There might be some frustration. And when you have that kind of clear, you're like, okay, no, I got this. You can bring your right hand to your right knee. And then see if you can kind of control the ribs as you continue to do this circle. Then try the other direction. So one of those directions might feel easier than the other. We just notice. And if it's comfortable for you, I invite you to also work on reaching a little bit for range, right? So not just going in this circle, but seeing if I could maybe open up that circle, even if it's just a little inch. And then I'm going to free that up. I'm going to allow my belly to be a little bit soft and just allow the arm to swing with momentum. Like you were swinging a jump rope. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slow it down. We'll slide that right knee back. And then step forward with the left. So same, we find 90-90. I'm going to give my right rib cage a little bit of a hug, right? Drawing it forward so I can keep upright. I reach the right arm up overhead. I start to bring it back in behind me. So the first ones, make them a little bit slow so you can figure out the rotation. One of the ways that you can also stay really true to that is by really pointing through the fingers. Right? So when we have this level of engagement, it gives our body a bit of feedback. This is called a shoulder carve. It's slipping me right now what the C stands for. The C, something articulated rotation. struggling to remember. And we'll do a little bit of this targeted work today. It comes from the paradigm of functional mobility, for anybody that's wondering. And then we'll switch the direction. When you really have it online, right, you're like, my torso, my body's not moving, right? You can bring your right hand to the thigh. Okay, all the while, right, the breath is still in the background. Let's add a little bit of tempo or speed. So we release it, we loosen it up. The ribs can turn a little bit because it'll help us to kind of soften the momentum. Right, and then we'll slowly let that go. Bringing the knee back. We'll bring the hands down in towards the tabletop. I'm gonna find a neutral-ish spine. So the things that I think that are important are like the shoulders falling in. I wanna make sure that those are pressing up towards the ceiling, and also the head, right? So sometimes we drop the head down, right? So if you were to think about the eyes are looking directly down and in front of you. With my right hand, I'm gonna bring it to my left shoulder, right? I'm gonna have a little bit of a hard time because of my mic, so let's see. So I can make that. Okay. Right hand to right shoulder. Okay, this movement's not so big, right? But I'm gonna think about bringing my elbow towards the ceiling, okay, even before that. Okay, the lower part of my body, so like my hips, they're not gonna wobble from side to side. So I'm gonna try to keep that pretty situated. Right hand comes to the right shoulder. Again, if that's left for any reason, that's fine. We bring the elbow up towards the sky. And I wanna think about this movement coming from my thoracic spine. So that's the part that is right underneath your shoulder blades. Right? You might not get up that high, and that's okay. Wherever you are, you're gonna extend the arm and see where it goes. Okay, bring your right hand back to the left shoulder. And then with this elbow, I'm gonna see if I can bring it under the space. Again, the low body stays pretty situated. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna spiral up with the elbow. Can you think about this motion coming from the spine? And then you might release the arm. Bring that hand back to the left shoulder. And then we go under. And try again. Right, and each time I bring that elbow up, I'm trying to get it like 1 inch higher. I'm trying to get that hand 1 inch higher. I'm fighting for range. Okay, bring that left hand to the left shoulder and under. Okay, give yourself 2 more like this. We work on that. And we'll bring that right hand to the floor. And we'll switch sides. Left hand comes to the shoulder. So when we do this very targeted work, it can be frustrating, right? So if that's coming up, just notice, right? Like, oh, wow, take a breath. Right hand, right shoulder. I try here, spiraling the elbow up. And it's really not the elbow, really. What I'm thinking about doing is my left rib is thinking about coming up towards the ceiling. My left rib is thinking about coming up towards the ceiling. And then I might extend the arm. Just see where it goes. Left hand, right shoulder. I'm gonna try to get that elbow underneath the space. It's not gonna be a lot, and it might not even go under the space. And then up. So we get really clear here around thoracic spine movement. And you'll work this pattern in your own way, in your own speed. Also, if something comes up and you're not quite sure, like, hey, am I doing this right? Please ask the question. If you're moving and grooving, all good. Here just for a few more seconds. We'll bring that hand back down to the floor. We'll slide back so that we're lying on our bellies. We'll stack the hands and just land the forehead down on the hands just for a moment. You can bring your feet as wide as they need to so that you feel good, comfortable. When you're ready, we're going to bring the left arm out beside us. With the right knee, I'm going to bend it and lift it. Bend it and lift it. And with this bend and lift, I'm going to think about reaching my right foot towards my left hand. So I start to roll onto the hip. At first, it might feel a little sticky. So I just notice the shoulder, what it's saying, like the spine, the front of the hip. And then I'm going to roll onto my belly and switch sides. So my right arm comes out. I'm going to press it into the floor, bend your left knee and lift it up. And then I'm going to reach over. The toes of my left foot are pointing, and I'm working on it. Like I want to get my hand to my foot. Okay, I'm going to roll back onto my belly, switching sides. So we're going to go back and forth in this motion. And it's up to you here to choose the frequency or the speed. Some of us are going to want to do this really slow, like yogi style. Some of us are going to want to move this a little bit faster. We just think about going side to side, just rolling around. And inquire here, right? Not just into the frames of sensation, but also what parts of your body feel like, oh, this feels really good. And also what parts of your body maybe you're saying, hey, I don't like this at all. And if it's pain, can you move slower to discover where the root of it is? Where is it coming from? And can I make a choice that brings more ease into this? We're not here for much longer. Then whenever you feel ready or complete, we'll come to lie on our bellies. Stacking the hands, resting down. Breathing in. And breathing. Breathing in. We're going to start to bring our feet a little bit wider. Right? So finding a position with my feet that allows my pubic bone to rest on the mat. Come to stand up on your elbows. So your elbows are underneath your shoulders. They can be even a little bit wider. And notice if the shoulders are up towards the ears. Can you find a space that allows your neck to be clear? And then with our eyes, we're just going to look around our space. We create a bit of curiosity. So you might look back at the right foot. And whenever I do this articulation, I like to see if I can map or see every part of my room, every single part. Keeping the pelvis heavy. And you don't have to move in a specific way. You can bring waves, the quality of undulation, a little bit of speed. If there's someone somewhere asking for your attention, you might rock into it for a little bit of time. And then we'll slow it down for a moment and we'll take a little test. We'll reach the hands out a little bit and bring the elbows off the mat. Not very high at first. We start here and then we go again. We look around. And if there's a bit of pain or sensitivity in the low back, ask yourself here if you're engaging through the glutes. Right, now there's a new frame to look at, right? Like, can I look under my armpit? It's a new frame. It's a new way. It's a new obstacle. You might stay here with the hands. You might bring them a little bit closer to your body so you become higher. Okay, no pressure. We always go to the place that our body is asking us to go. Okay, now the fun part. We're going to create some variability. So not just in the neck. Now I can move my whole spine. Boom. I can come down onto my elbows. Boom. I can move right, I can move left, I can come one shoulder down, right? I can start to wave. Right? It looks a little bit weirder. I start to explore different levels, different gazes. I might lift up, I might reach a block, I might lower myself down. Like, ooh. I might do one shoulder at a time. And so these are some kind of options, but there's no right or wrong. Sometimes it can be even cool to look at what other people are doing. It gives us ideas. We go to the place, we go to the places that are asking for our attention. And this can be a little bit hard for the hands, so if you ever need to take a break, you can bring your elbows back down. Just a few more moments here. Lower down, stacking the forehead onto hands. Ooh. See if you can send breath into your low back. We just notice what came up in that last movement. I'm going to bring my hands under my shoulders and just press myself up. I'm going to come to sit with my bum on my heels, with my thighs close together, feet close together. So more of a narrow stance. I'll start to draw my chin in towards my chest. I'm going to start to roll up through my shoulders. And this is going to start to bring the crown of my head down to the floor. So my eyes or my gaze is thinking about the belly button. It might not reach. And if you're feeling a little bit like I don't have boobs, right? So I'm not quite sure. You might have to bring your head a little bit further away. And if this is not comfortable, I'm going to give us one more variation after. Okay? Bring your hands to your feet. I'm really going to grab onto the feet. I'm going to think about dropping the front of my shoulders down and my elbows coming down to the side. And then the hips are going to start to reach up towards the ceiling. As the hips reach up, I'm thinking about bringing my forehead closer in towards my knees. So the crown of the head is on the mat. It's an inversion. Right, keep pulling on the feet, keep lifting up through the hips. And then keep working with that for a little bit. If you have boobs, and this is really, really not great, right? You're gonna come to sitting on your bum. Right? I'm gonna think about rolling my chin in towards my chest like I did, right? And grabbing onto my shins. And I'm gonna try to bring the crown of my head to my knees. It's not gonna touch, it's not really possible, right? But we think about it as an idea. And so if we're in this seated variation, we're gonna move from seated, we'll bring the arms behind us, lift up through the chest, roll the shoulder blades back, okay? And if we're in rabbit, so we go from rounding forward to arms come back. And if we're in rabbit, I want us to think about bringing the hips down, keeping the chin in towards the chest. Ooh, I'm gonna roll up, hands come behind me, same. I'm gonna lift up through my chest, my chin, there's a back. Then I'm gonna bring my chin in towards my chest. I'm gonna roll back into rabbit, grabbing the feet, lifting the hips. I'm gonna sit the hips back down. So there's a little bit of movement. You can move it slowly or quickly. You decide the pace. Every time I'm working for a little bit of range. Every time I'm working, can I get my bum a little higher? Can I get my forehead a little closer? I'm not going to be here for much longer. About 30 or so seconds. So you have those two options, either from the bum. Whenever you feel done, right? It's a total you thing. Slowly but slowly, we're going to make our ways onto our back. Right, the feet are on the floor about hip-width distance apart. I'm going to try to lengthen my hips down towards my feet so that the low back feels long. I'm going to lift through my right leg towards the sky. And then the inseam of my pants, right? I'm going to think about that opening towards me. So the foot's going to rotate, the ankle's going to rotate, the knee, the hip, everything, right? And then the foot is going to come onto the left thigh. So like a threading the needle. With this figure 4, we're going to bring it over to the left. So a little twist. Breathing in, I know I'm breathing. Breathing out, I know I'm breathing. We'll draw the knees back to center. I'm going to switch sides. My left foot's going to come up. toes turn out, but the entire inseam of that foot opens out to me too, right? Ankle onto the thigh. And then we take that twist. I try to keep my shoulders on the floor. They might not, that's okay. But it's one of the ways that we can target the twist in the thorax. And then we'll come back to center. Draw your thighs in towards your chest. You can grab onto shins or feet. And then just rock a bit from side to side. Right, so whatever your happy baby is, there's no pressure for it to look a certain way. You can rock from side to side or up and down. If you like the restorative version of happy baby, you can put a bolster or a pillow underneath your bum. Just find a little rock. I find the rocking to be soothing, but notice what shows up for you here. And whenever you're ready, you're going to bring your feet straight down. I'm going to start to think about grounding my heels into the floor. And then with my toes, just tapping them forward, right? Tapping them forward and back. And again, you can play with speed and tempo. As you rock the feet, can you sense that this rocking is moving throughout your whole body? So for me, the tempo I got is tap, 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 tap. So it's a bit fast, but you don't have to take that tempo. You can do something a bit slower. Find what feels like home. Last minute. You start to slow it down. And soften the feet. Just notice what came up. And we'll bring our hands in front of us, like up in the air, and interlace the fingers, the elbows out to the side. And then think about like that machine that used to do that like agitator from side to side. You're gonna just shake your shoulders, your elbows from side to side. Right? Depending on how fast you go, the shoulders might lift off the floor a lot, right? Depending on the speed you choose. But I also try to get this ripple to move through my body, side to side. You can release the hands and make fists instead. 30 seconds. 30 seconds. You can allow the head to be a part of it, right? We get as many things shaking as possible. It's a bit chaotic. It's okay. Then we'll let that land. Find your resting place. If there's any more movement that you really need, take this time to do it. If not, we close the eyes and go inward for our last moments. As we go inward, we imagine that our body is like a field, a place that we can go to visit. We explore here the face, muscles of the face. Continue to explore the neck. Shoulders. Arms. Body. Front of the body. Back of the body. And how breath moves within it. Move towards the hips. Front of the hips, back of the hips. Inside. And down towards our feet. Our legs, knees, shins, ankles, toes. Allow our awareness to just explore the field of sensation within our body. We take in things like sound as well. Only through this body can we find liberation. Right? It's what we got. Can't be through any other thing. Just here. Just now. Thank you so much for coming to practice. I bring my hands to my heart and bow to each and every one of you. You can stay here as long as you like. Stick around for a few moments to chat. No pressure.
Thanks, Rochelle.